Good evening, witches. Welcome to week 6 of the Beginner Witch series. Tonight we're going to talk about
altars and sacred spaces.
we will be with you in just a moment.
See you soon.
Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Week 6.
Week 6 of the Beginner Witch series, and tonight we're talking about altars and sacred spaces. I think this is one of the core things that people think about when they think witches or witchcraft, is that we have altars and that's what you do your spells on, or that's what you do some shit on, like just something. You do something on altars. We don't always know what they're for, but people have altars. We're gonna go over, I brought a lot of show and tell. I wish I could like show you this table in front of me, because an altar can literally be anything. So we are going to give you some history, how this got started, where they believe the origins of altars are, some practices, some ideas. We're using one note card tonight, and we're going to be passing it to each other. So we hope you guys enjoy our antics as we figure out how to do this 3-person lesson. It's going to be great.
I want to share something with you. So I just met somebody this week, a girlfriend who I think is going to become a really good friend. She actually lives down the street from me, and I've been in Florida almost 4 years, and I haven't really met anybody, COVID and everything, right?
Yes.
So you just don't get an opportunity. But I met this girl, and I went to her house with her and her friends. Her entire back room was an altar, and she didn't call herself a witch or anything. And then she told me her friends down the street also have like the similar setups. So altars are everywhere, even if you're not a witch.
Yes. Well, when we think about even in religions, they have altars of sorts. They have items that are sacred to them. They have sacred spaces. Yeah. So an altar, in the terms that we use it, is our personal sacred spaces that we use. But many traditions, religions, cultures have altars, and they may not use that word, but the idea and the system of it is exactly the same. Yeah. So this is getting used to a language. If you are a new witch and you're just learning to practice, having an altar might seem like a big task and scary and like full of rules. This is not the Wicca altar. There is that. Wicca has a very descriptive way of how they lay out an altar. That's online anywhere you want to look. That's not what we're going to be talking about tonight, because I don't know if we told you, but we are solitary witches who do what we want. So we don't really follow anybody's rules or practices. We do what
definitely not societies.
Yeah. We do what we feel.
I raised them.
Yeah. Yeah. All her fault.
We just do what we feel is right for us. And we're not even going to tell you tonight what's right, what's wrong, what's proper. We're going to say, here's hundreds of ideas and do what feels right for you. I'm going to give you lots of examples of altars, all the different altars that I've had. If you guys know, I was in the military, so I had to have a secret altar at one time, sort of a very mini, tiny, not an Altoids can.
Travel.
The travel altars.
Traveling.
Okay, I do love Pinterest and all the things that have come about with the internet and people like redoing Altoids cans that make tiny little altars. I'm like, where was that when I was in the Navy in 2005? Damn it. Why did I never get an Altoids, container and redo it? So that's the things that we're going to go over tonight. And since we were a little late starting, because we were rearranging our beautiful setup here at Kat's house, we're just going to go ahead and get started. And I'm going to give you guys like the nerdy facts first, right? So where did altars start? How did this come about? Where do we think they originated? What happened? What's the story? And I'm going to read from my sheet, because in my head, I tell the story without a lot of detail. So it's best that I read it. All right. Some scholars believe that the first altars were the tombs of the dead, where offerings were made to our ancestors. So it was a way to remember the lives that were already lived. You would go to the place where the person was buried or interred in the earth or burnt or whatever, and you would lay things there for them in remembrance, wishes, hopes, dreams for them. If it was a child that you lost early, you would put things there that were symbolic to that person's life that you wish for them to carry on into the afterlife. So this is the first connection, that an altar is connecting the spirit world with our human physical world.
That's actually really similar to like memorial.
That's
Yeah,
exactly what I
but-
was thinking. At the
where
graveside.
they put like teddy bears.
Where
and
you have a
candles
headstone
and stuff
and-
where somebody has passed,
Yeah.
so.
Yes.
It's still a thing to honor the people, the spirits who have passed. We don't forget them. I mean, I don't know how far back that goes as in remembering people who have passed over, but as far back as we can look into ancient civilizations, honoring their dead by placing things of remembrance has always been a thing in every single culture. There's always been that. Here's another little fact that's not in my sheet, but elephants have the memory and can smell their deceased loved ones in the bones after they've been passed away for long, long years. So when they come across the area where one of their loved ones died, the herd of females will often take days to sit there and remember their lost, loved elephant friend or family member. So this is not just in the human kingdom, it's in the animal kingdom everywhere, where they remember things. They can smell that there was a soul or a being or something there that they were connected to, and they remember it. I love the elephant thing. It's also very sad, but I do love it. Okay. So there are other people who believe that altars came from the pagan belief that the newly deceased gathered. I want you to picture this. They gathered on the border of our skies. Okay, so this is when the sun is rising or setting and the clouds start to make weird apparitions, and you kind of see like, is that trees in the distance? Is it mountains? Is it something? They started to believe that that was actually our loved ones there at every morning and every evening. And so because they would see these figures in the skyline, they associated it with the constellation Ara. It's spelled A-R-A. If you want to look up the story, it's beautiful. It's awesome. It's not an American constellation that we talk about much, but it's there. So the Latin word for Ara is altar. So that's the origin of the word. That's where we get the American word or the English word altar from, is this constellation called Ara. So the altar is a star constellation in the Milky Way, and it means to burn or glow. So if you think about that at sunrise or sunset, that's exactly what the sky is doing. It's illuminating the beams, and it's showing us heaven and earth are connected. I'm sure that sounds familiar to a lot of people because lots of religions talk about heaven and earth, as above, so below. There is this whole thing about our horizon line and how far out we can see and what truly separates us from our heaven, the spiritual world, and from our earthly residings. Okay, so then fast forward to only like 3,000 years ago, the ancient Greece, the people in ancient Greece believed that Aura was associated with the altar that the centaur Chiron, okay? No, Chiron. It's definitely Chiron. I'm so sorry. I did this last time. When we read the
We forgive you, we forgive you.
please, everybody just send me a blessing that I got the word wrong. Chiron, okay, the centaur. I forget that he's a centaur. That's why, because I don't consider, when I think centaur, I think a different being. But Chiron is a centaur and was depicted sacrificing Lupus, the wolf, in the sky, and in order to unite the gods of Olympus against the Titans. So, the Olympians were the children of the Titans. And so this was a way to unite them and like defeat, and it's about war and battle and all that crazy stuff. So the centaur appears to be facing eastwards where the sun rises, and Aura, as it's rising, it looks like smoke is actually coming from what they considered was that sacrificial altar where the Titans were taking out the Olympians. So this is like more of a historical documented thing. If that story was confusing, I apologize. That's why I try to read it, because
Listen, this is mythology.
Mythology.
It is confusing.
It's confusing.
It's like, okay.
I know. Everyone's like trying to eat their babies and
weird shit.
I'm
shit. It's all metaphorical.
being born from sea sperm. It's a lot of stuff. The basis of it is, it just goes back to another society, another group of people saying that the horizon for them looked like as two constellations were rising and they were battling for the Titans to beat the Olympians. That was the gods that were ruling their kingdoms at the time. Smoke was always rising from there. And that was what the heat of day looked like coming up, or the clouds at sunrise and sunset. So when you're looking eastward, that's what they considered was the altar, the place where the battle is. What's really beautiful about this analogy, if you think about that, it's a battle between two things, like defeat over something. When we make our personal altars, we are often trying to create change in our lives. We are trying to overcome or beat something else. So if we have the Titan side of us and the Olympian side of us, where maybe the Olympian side of us is like, take control over everything, don't listen to anybody, don't love anybody, hold yourself hostage, like guard yourself at all costs. And the Titans are like, let's live and be free and just like love everybody and intermix with every race you can, because they kind of did that. Those two sides are battling each other. And that's, if you think about that within yourself as you're doing something on your altar for work, whether it's a spell for change or it's just offerings or you're just like accepting the beauty of nature, there's always that change that's going on that altar plane. That's my super nerdy facts.
Or you're trying to bring something into your life.
Yeah, I
Also.
mean, it's change of whatever kind. Bring it
Yeah.
in, push it out, grow something new, do something different. I mean, the altar is a space that from the stars means to have two opposing sides battle for the good. That's what it means. So in whatever way you're doing that on an altar space or in a sacred space, because you don't have to use the word altar either. That's why I said it's altars and sacred spaces. Your sacred space could be your bedside table that you have like your essential oils on, your rock, your like wind chime, all the things that you use to go to bed and create peace, and your mantras or whatever else you might have there that makes you feel connected, grounded, whole, like you're becoming your truest, highest self. That's the whole journey. I'm going to hand over the worksheets to Jolene.
So the way
She's
that I
maxed
feel
out.
about altars, thank you, sister.
You're so welcome.
Nerdy facts.
All my nerdy stuff.
The way that I've always felt about altars is it's like it's a small way to dedicate time to myself, my life, my purpose, my journey, everything that I'm manifesting,
Yes.
my goals. And this goes all the way down to like me as a person, like who do I strive to be on a daily person?
On
Who
a
do I-
daily-
That we literally have dyslexia. Save me, you guys, save me. Okay, listen.
Showing.
Forgive me. Okay, so my altar is a way for me to focus on myself every single day and what I'm trying to achieve, my goals and who I want to be as a person. If I want to be more relaxed, or if I want to be more focused on work, or if I'm focusing on love at that time in my life, right? I will place certain objects and certain notes, and there's all kinds of things,
Yeah.
right? Like
We're gonna go through lots of examples.
we're gonna go through that, but like I kind of dedicate my altar to how I'm feeling about my personal like inner self, and my altar kind of reflects who I am and what I'm going through during that time in my life and what I'm kind of reaching for. So it's like a small sacred space that you create for yourself in your spiritual realm to go like, this is what I'm really pushing for. It's like a little physical manifestation.
Yeah.
Station.
Little manifestation station. Don't try to steal it.
I got no high fives.
Okay.
I love that. All right. I think the next one goes to Kat. You're on altars for performing magic and spells.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect because I'm a newer witch, like many of you, I think. So I haven't had like altars for years like these girls have. They have altars set up in their house always. And I don't so much. I've set up altars for specific things like to bring in love and to bring in good fortune. Like I was specifically asked for money, like $300, and I set up an altar just for that. And I kept feeding the little thing that I had with change in it.
Receiving jar.
I kept the receiving jar. I kept putting
Yes.
money in it, and I got the $300. I actually got more than that, but I did get the $300. So the love spell, I guess the love came to me too. And then when it did, I ran away
She
from it.
rejected
So
it.
She was like,
She was like,
oh wait, never
it
mind.
was a little intense for me. So my altars, when I set them up, they have been for specific purposes for specific amounts of time. Unlike my daughters, when I go to their house, I see their altars. Their altars are out. They have all this beautiful stuff on them. And I really like what you're saying about having one for what you're going through at a particular time. Because I actually have some things right now. There's a lot of energy going on right now where people are trying to change. There's a lot of big energy in the sky. this year in particular. This is a 7, a spiritual year.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things happening. I am really feeling it. I'm
Me
really
too.
feeling the need to
Girlfriend.
make some changes. And I love your idea, and I'm totally
Yeah.
gonna take it from and do my own thing with
Yeah,
it.
I
So,
love that.
okay, so let's see, altars for performing magic spells. I'm gonna read two because I'm totally not prepared. So made popular by Wicca.
Because I'm sorry,
Yeah. What?
just for clarity. Using your altar only for not only for spells, but for spells, thinking that you need an altar to do spells. This is a very popular Wicca thing.
No.
I don't
Absolutely not.
perform any spells on
Hell
altars.
no.
Just not me, myself, and I. I go outside and I sit with the natural world to do that. I do maybe create an altar outside of that, but my
Didn't you
altar's
just
in
do
my
one
home.
for the, yeah, you just did one, right?
I
For the
do.
Libra.
Yeah, I've
for
been doing
full
it the full moon this year. Most of the year, I think, for January.
Here's the thing, sometimes you can put in all of your work when it comes to setting up a spell. You can have the blanket out, the candles lit, the wind's blowing. It's amazing, right? And then other times you're scrambling, you barely have what you need. You
I
might have,
scrambled. Yeah.
instead of basil, you're using like, who knows what, a leaf out of the yard, whatever, like you're scrambling.
Basil.
Right? Like you're getting it together. You're like, I barely have this, but I'm still gonna give it a mile. It doesn't matter. It's the intention behind it.
It's more the
Period.
intention. But the reason that I said made popular by Wicca is because when you read Wiccan or magic books
Mhm.
based on the Wiccan belief, they tell you that you're going to perform your spell at an altar.
Okay, so
100%
let's
okay.
talk about that.
Yes.
Altars, magical altar spaces in our homes that are set up as protected space to do magical workings. Again, you don't have to do magical workings at an altar. You can just set intentions for that altar and then give it attention every day or every couple of days by
That's
doing
right.
something,
Yeah.
which is called feeding your spell. or
Feeding your intention, feeding your
intention,
spell,
yeah.
feeding your desire,
Yeah.
what we think about, we bring about. So
You-
think about it often.
You wouldn't, I wouldn't think you would want to just set an altar and then leave it and never pay any attention to it or go back and say, you know, like say the thing, say a mantra or
Yeah.
light a candle or add something like with my money altar, I actually fed it, I put money, I kept adding money to the jar.
and change dollar bills because you're thinking about it. You're adding energy, not just physical.
So you
things.
can do spells at an altar, but you don't have to.
Yes.
Each branch of the belief has its own standard for how an altar should be set up. And by that, you mean like the Wiccans have a particular
Yes.
way.
Very
that
much
they,
so.
They have a very, you know, like, I've seen the diagram of a Wiccan
Mhm.
altar.
Yeah.
And you can look that up online and you'll see the, you
The
know,
representations.
the representations of each
Yes.
thing. How they actually go in an exact space. in
They
an
do.
exact
It's very
place.
beautiful, but listen, I don't have time for all that. Like, I really don't, like, I'm just gonna set it up, however, my energy is gonna do what it does, so I just can't.
This
And
is
that's-
more intuitive witchcraft versus organized witchcraft.
Yeah,
Well, this-
organized.
This is, there's no particular way that your altar should be set up. I guess
Mhm.
that's the point that we're
Yeah,
making there.
like I said,
Just feels right to
it's
you.
not, it's
not-
not right or wrong way, unless you're following a religion like Wicca.
Now, I must say, I am totally a Pinterest kind of witch, like, or an aesthetic kind of witch. I will look up pictures of altars or
For
or
ideas.
spells or anything,
Yeah.
right? Because I love the aesthetic of it, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to
Yeah.
look up what an altar looks like, and you're like, you know what, I really like the way that looks, I'm gonna do mine just like that.
Creativity, it's
It
not
doesn't
wrong
matter.
to use somebody else's
Nope.
ideas ever. And
Even if
once
it
you're
doesn't mean
in-
to you what it meant to them, it doesn't matter. If you like
So-
it, do it.
So the
Yeah.
setup purpose is to acknowledge elements, deities, balance,
Go slower.
or
What'd you say?
I said go slower, acknowledge the elements.
the setup purpose is to acknowledge elements, deities, balance, what you want to bring into your life, what you want to get out of your life.
Purpose,
Um,
yeah,
elemental altars might have an athame for air, a chalice for water, a candle or a wand for fire, and dirt or stones or plants for earth.
yes.
For balance, it could be one white candle and one black candle, or a representation of a male and female deity. That really sounds like a Wiccan thing, but
It
you
is.
can-
It's more
but
Wiccan.
you
But-
can take any part of the Wiccan practice and incorporate it into your own
Make
practice.
it your own.
There's
Yep.
nothing wrong with that.
Whatever feels right for you. That's the important thing here. That's the key thing to being a witch. What
Mhm.
feels right to you? What do you vibe with? What's
Mhm.
your energy level with it, you know?
And the other important thing, and as I said, going back and giving your altar attention and time, over time, your altar will collect all the positive energy that manifests while doing magical work there. And your magical work could be as simple as adding something to your altar, going to your altar and saying a mantra, spending,
Just sitting there with it.
yeah,
Lighting a
5
candle
minutes,
on
lighting
it.
a
That's
candle.
my thing.
Yeah.
It should be considered a sacred space for you. This means keeping it clean, spending time there, journaling, preparing herbs, cleansing, saging your tools, etc.
Whatever it is.
So then we have altar ideas.
Yes. Okay.
We have
This
so
is-
many altar.
This is like lists, you guys, which I know you can find online or Pinterest or anything, but we're gonna go through this. The three of us are gonna go through this little thing of altar ideas because Jolie and I have been practicing witches for like 25 years and Kat's been now for like 4. And we've all done a few things here and there. And it's like we get together and we still go, oh, I like that. We find out our ideas away from each other all the time, even though we're together, like, I don't know, 10 out of 7 days a week, probably, right?
What percentage is that? Like,
Even 50% of the time.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure my husband thinks he has 3 wives and not just one. It's like always together. Was that too awkward? Okay, just kidding. He doesn't hang out with us. He doesn't.
He did.
Okay,
So your dresser, all right, the top of your dresser,
forget we
any
have all this
dresser. I know this was show and tell stuff. The top of your dresser could be your altar. Your nightstand, any table in your home could be an altar because all it is a dedicated
A
space.
windowsill.
A window seal.
I really like
Oh,
windowsill.
She does.
altars.
You have
because
so many at your other
I
house.
do.
Yeah, I forgot.
let's see what else.
What do you got?
Steamer trunk, serving tray, a
You're
mirror,
going so fast.
steamer trunk,
Steamer.
serving.
Exactly.
trunk?
A steamer trunk.
What's
What?
that?
I have
Okay.
questions about
All
that.
right, I know that Tracy, you're shaking your head. You know what a steamer trunk is.
I know now I'm trying to say it. I know
Younger,
now.
just the younger generation,
It's
they're like,
so
what's
young.
that? Well, if you remember the big black trunk that used to be our coffee table.
Yes, of course.
All right,
I
you're-
couldn't forget.
That's a steamer trunk.
Yeah, I didn't know it was called a steamer trunk.
Well,
Why steamer?
because they used to
Maybe
load it up
steam
and put on
trains.
on boats, on ships. People would pack their
Okay,
stuff on their.
Steam trains, steamboats.
Yeah.
Okay, we got it.
Steamers.
Got it.
So, when you saw the Titanic and they were loading up the big trunks, those were steamer trunks.
Okay,
Got it.
Okay, let's see. Any flat surface that gives you enough space for your magical tools should work fine. As you grow in your practices, you may acquire more magical tools and a new altar space to accommodate your growing practice.
yes.
There's no wrong or right way to set up your altar. There is only your way.
If you're gonna take anything away from this lesson, make sure you write that down. There is not a wrong or right way to set up an altar. It is whatever you feel.
We will always say
Make it
that
beautiful
about everything.
and can,
And your decisions, whatever they are.
well, make it beautiful to you.
Yeah.
And put the things
Make
on
it
it,
important to you.
make
Make
it,
it like the things that you want.
put the things on it that have meaning to you
Yes.
and for what you.
And that
what you're trying to
excites you.
change in your
And
life.
it excites you. And I think what's really cool is when you're learning about witchcraft and you do learn like, oh my gosh, a bell is air. You're like, ooh, I could have this as a symbol for air on my altar. I love that. So then you find a classy brass bell at Goodwill and you're like,
That would have been a really good trivia question that we could have asked. And they
Oh,
She ruined the damn trivia.
okay, done.
Jamie's got a whole little collection of things here, and the rest of them, instead of telling you what it is,
Yeah.
she's gonna ask you, what could this be?
Well, okay, but
Or
there's
something like that.
yeah, I love that she's just throwing me in here on this. I was
Then I'll do
here
it.
with you for the awesome trivia week, but
Okay,
I
well,
have
let's
mine.
see. Well, hold on. Singing bowl.
you gotta
So-
hold the bottom. There you go.
All right, so what element would this be? Does anybody have? All right, she wants. to
Well,
get-
it becomes a representation. So many
Yeah.
things on your altars mean something for you. This could mean relaxation, meditation. It has a certain note. I think it might be C, and that deals with PTSD. And so listening to this would do what for us? What does it represent on your altar? but because it plays a sound, does anybody know what element that represents if it was on your altar?
I think it's air. Oh, sorry. I answered the
Well,
question. It
you're-
was supposed to be
you're-
you guys.
Okay.
Oh,
Just kidding.
really?
No, no.
Okay, well, what do you guys think? You guys put it in, okay, Jolene,
Oh, oh. She's
She
not
got
doing
me.
it right now.
what do you guys think? What element do you think? So let's see, Brian says air plus earth. Amy says
Could be,
water.
yeah,
Amy says water. Oh, because it could
because
hold
it's a chalice.
'Cause it's a
Yes, right.
possibly a cup for water, says Joellen, or emotion.
Yeah.
Metal earth. I'm
Metal
sorry, I
earth.
missed your name. Liza says air. Ryan, I'm not
Yeah.
sure what 3 O's are, but ooh, okay. Water because of sound waves, Tracy says.
Sound waves.
Um,
So all of it, if you find, so imagine this is just like sitting in somebody's house with a couple other things, a candle, a crystal, whatever. You're not like, oh, she's a witch. No, you're just like, oh, she likes relaxing things. This is also a way that you can have altars out in your house that nobody else knows about because they're common items that are representations for you that you decide.
And
So
I think,
love that.
I think early on, somebody mentioned that they could not, and I'm sorry I missed your name.
Yes.
But you mentioned that you could not have an altar
Yeah.
because you live with other people, so
Mhm.
whoever that was, what do we have to say? So you could have an altar with just very common things
Yes.
on it that nobody would know it was an altar.
So one of my favorite altars that I have in my office is a collection of random random things I collect in nature, whether it's from different states or different places, but I lust for stones, whether they are like crystals and semi-precious, whatever, but like just little river stones or beach stones that I can't keep my hands on. And then where we live, we get a lot of the hag stones, which have the circles in them, that people talk about. And I just collect these little items. It can be tiny pine cones. It could be that I found a butterfly wing. It could be whatever. And I have this whole altar that's just about earth items that I find. And somebody would probably see that and go, why do you have a bunch of random shit from your yard on your table? Like, what are you doing there? They don't know it's an altar. It's my earth altar for me because I find beauty in all the things that nature creates. So that's part of it. Oh, I love that egg.
I love this. Can you guys, hold on, I'm gonna see it up. So you
No,
can
it's
see it.
far away.
Look,
It's a bronze egg.
all right, so element.
If it's
Anybody know?
bronze.
Representation is bronze, it's an egg, so you might have an
Yeah.
altar
Ooh.
for.
We just had a holiday that had a lot of eggs in it.
Well,
It's-
also, you know what I'm thinking? Is anybody thinking about babies?
Fertility.
Fertility, yes.
Fertility.
So
I
it
was
could
thinking
be a
about babies.
representation for fertility.
Fertility. And fertility can mean several things as far as fertility and abundance. So an egg can be a symbol of money. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's the beautiful elaborate Russian eggs, or I'm pretty sure they're Russian, right? The ones that are crazy decorated.
Mhm.
That they're a symbol of wealth. So eggs were given as a symbol of prosperity, wealth, to grow your family. It can also be actual like pregnancies and childbirth and things. The egg shape is all about abundance in whatever direction you want to use that for. Wealth, crops, children, your family, whatever it is.
Fabergé eggs, that's right.
Fabergé,
Thank
thank you.
Fabergé, thank you,
Oh.
Tracy.
Oh my gosh, you guys save me all the time. When I can't find my words, y'all are here for me. Okay, the next one would be, these are all, I feel like we're doing the same thing, but these are stones. So this is one of my crystal stones that, you guys will not believe that I paid $7 for this. The guy just did not understand what he had. I was like, I'll take 5. Thank you. So, $7 for all these. I got this in Kansas City when I was with you. Do you remember that store you took me to?
Yes.
I had no idea what he had. So a crystal like this, and then I have palm stones also that are part of my altars. And the element that would go with those could be, and go. Anybody want to guess?
Well, look at your comments if you want to comment on it.
Yeah, because it's not, I know these are grown in the earth or the earth made them, right? But you've got other things that they could represent. I don't know, this is labradorite. So if anybody knows what labradorite, well, I know what I mean, because every stone has like 50 things it could mean. I use my stone for something specific. This is my one from my,
So we've got earth,
Yes.
earth or spirit,
Spirit.
color and stone. can
Color.
represent a lot of things.
Yes, the color of it. So my labradorite, this stone specifically, this is what I use when I read tarot. So this is part of my magical workings. Labradorite helps with magical workings. And then my crystal quartz, this is actually from my, I don't even know, what do we call these things? What do we call these? I'm
This-
losing my
The
words.
crystals.
What do you, a grid. So I have a small grid board like this that I have out, and then this crystal sits in the middle, and then I have other stones that go around it. So this one is actually for function, like this points energy and direction. So it's an amplifier for me. And that's just what I use it for. I don't use it for earth, but as an amplifier. Okay, you guys grab Stephanie. I feel like I'm talking. a lot.
Okay, so.
I'll just have my martini.
Well, we have this cloth here, so that could be,
Random cloth.
let's see, and what's on it? We have this altar cloth here. You don't have to have an altar cloth, but if you do,
No, I just
Yeah.
like them. So
I use sometimes little trays, like serving tray type things.
you guys wanna know what I used to use? Placemats. Yep.
That's what I started.
Before
with.
I ever knew that people made altar cloths, I used to use placemats. What about you?
Sheer curtains.
See?
I
Because
use
she's
placemats.
fancy.
I use
Sheer curtains.
I use
yeah.
placemats. Okay, let's
Placemats.
see. We have this little ceramic.
No, it's polymer clay. I made
I'm
that.
sorry, polymer clay. It feels like ceramic. Little.
It's sticky.
Okay, we'll
I love
move.
it. I love it.
We have a piece of selenite.
So this is my spirit selenite wand, actually. I carved that guy. So all I did was take a piece of selenite and I carved out the edges to make it a point. I just, listen, it breaks apart super easy. And then see the circle there? Ooh, doo, 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 the small circle. All right, so selenite is named for the moon's energy. And for me, it's connection with spirit. That's what I imagine is what looks like my connection to spirit is the way that selenite looks, that like crazy iridescent, sparkly, not quite translucent thing. That's the cord for me to the other side. So this is my spirit wand when I'm working directly with like trying to find somebody on the other side.
And then we have a little dish that has
From Goodwill.
a little, okay, so a little silver dish. It's super cute. Guys, it's kind of dirty. But anyway, and then some,
Dirty, it has ashes. It's purposefully,
I don't want to dump it on my laptop. And then Palo Santo
yeah. Palo Santo.
and
And the end of one of my sage bundles with
Yeah,
juniper.
okay, juniper. I knew it wasn't quite sage. So we have that, of course,
Oils.
essential oils. Let's see, what else we have here?
Okay, trays. I know we
We
don't
have a little spell jar.
that's one of my spell jars. I forget what that one
A
was
little
for.
spell jar. I can't
I
tell
think
because
it's
the spell's inside of it, so
Thing.
you guys can see that. Oh,
It's
little
a bay.
spells.
It's a bay leaf, a piece of paper, rope,
Mhm.
and moonstone.
What's this, ladies and gentlemen? What do you think that is?
That purple corn in it. I have to find out what this
Oh
is.
my goodness, when you open it, a sigil.
Oh, sigils, you guys, sigils are one of the most underused things, I think. They can represent so much. You can create your
Sigils.
own. And they don't need a lot of space. I have stuff taped underneath like furniture in my house that's sigils for spell stuff that nobody would ever know about because they're not gonna come in and flip my furniture over.
Green
saying.
construction paper with desire written on it. It says, "The universe delivers our desires." Yeah, green construction paper.
These
And
are
I'm
old
guessing
things
these,
from-
this might be a little spell or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not a spell, it's an intention. Okay, so I had this in my kitchen. I practice feng shui as well. So in my receiving jar, in my prosperity gua, which is when you enter your front door, if you go to your left farthest corner, that is your prosperity gua. And I wrote in there, all who enter are given food and drink. We share our wealth and wealth is returned to us. So that's part of the feng shui thing that we give. And we know that we don't worry about what you'll get back. Like you give it and you know that you'll receive it. It doesn't matter. It's that balance, that quality of like giving enough so that you don't worry that you're going to get some in return. You know, it's going to be there. That it's just an old thing. So these are some of my notes that I've had that like as I redo my intentions for my receiving jars around my house and my different guas for feng shui, I keep them as examples for you guys, so you can see my intimate
We have
details.
a deck of tarot cards. I think they're tarot cards. Oh, these are, well,
Oracle.
herbology, astrology.
Yeah, the oracle cards. My first oracle card, because last week after I talked to you guys about oracle cards, I happened to run into a store
And
browsing
then-
through the cards, and I saw this and I was like, wow, I just said on Monday I didn't have oracle cards, and this one spoke to me. And then we pulled cards last week after our Q&A session, and they were so on point. I was like, yes, this deck spoke to me. I knew I was supposed to have it. It all happened because of this. Yes.
Yeah, they were on point.
They were so good.
So was this your traveling altar? So
this is one
like
of my traveling
super
altars.
cute little wooden box here.
My sister, no, I think you gave me the bigger one. We got this in Salem, didn't we?
You need to get closer because you can't
Okay.
see it.
Yeah,
very
no.
well.
Well, we got this in Salem when we were up there a couple years ago. It's just a really small wooden box, and inside, it's just got like little things. I don't use this one as much anymore because it is super tiny, but inside it's on my little bags for keeping stuff. Like this one has a candle in it, and these would be my stones. I actually still have a very small thing of amethyst because that's my birthstone and my power stone, and then a quartz crystal for amplifying, and a candle. That's all that's in there now. This is not an active travel altar for me. I have a bigger one that my sister gave me. It's like, I don't know, not double, but time and a half.
They're like,
time and a half.
Jenny, what name did you want to share with you? Was that a comment to someone else? Is that the witchery book?
Share the name.
Yeah, I have been looking into research for more on it.
Oh, the sigil.
Was it about sigils, Jenny?
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
she's-
it was. Sorry.
Okay,
That's okay.
that's all right. I just wanted to answer your question if you.
I
had
think we're almost done. This is our show and tell for just all the random stuff that I have around my house that has altars that people see. Again, I do practice feng shui. So in each of my energy centers, I actually have little altars dedicated to those things. Like my family gua, I have a whole little altar dedicated towards family health. I have for my health gua, everything is taped underneath my coffee table. Nobody would ever know that it's there. So my altar is just paper, written out things, sigils, a picture of me, like it's all about the health elements. My son's room has a receiving bowl, plants, and a pineapple because that's part of that gua. So it's just these random items that it's decor, and people would never know that these are witchy altars because they look like ordinary things. I
And
just love that.
hopefully this gives you a lot of ideas for creating your own altar spaces.
Half head.
Okay,
I think that was mostly it. The sum of our lesson would be altars can be anything that you want them to be, anywhere that you want them to be. They don't have to be out for the public to see. They should be personal for you and have meaning. You don't have to follow anybody else's rules or must-haves for shit. Just go off of what you feel. Sometimes I pick out things and find the definition later, and that gives me an insight. That's kind of using divination beforehand. And it's like, oh, universe, give me this random thing and I'll figure it out later what it's supposed to mean for me. And it works.
I think I told you guys in a previous meeting when I did my little love altar, I took, the little bows that are on your panties. I took one of
On
those
her
bows.
negligee.
Yeah, I took one of
Yes.
those bows off and made it, it was part of my love spell.
And then she bought this
My
super
love
cute-
altar, I mean.
Listen, so her love ball actually has a small hole in it because of the way that her house is built. So there's an outside area that's part of her love ball. So in that outside area, she bought these two little porcelain rabbits on a swing, and the boy is kissing the girl. It's so cute. I'm like, if that's not the energy you want to bring out, it is, because rabbits are known for doing one thing especially well, and it's all lovey-dovey. I was like, all right, get it, girl. So then, all right. TMI, you guys ready for it? In my love gua, I have two little stone rabbits facing each other. And not unfortunately, but my husband's not as attentive to my mini altars as I am. So it actually has to be on his side of the bed because he sleeps on the right side, I guess. And so if he ever puts anything up there on the top shelf, I'm like, no, that don't belong there. This is specific. There's a candle, there's this, there's the flower, there's the bunnies, that's it. There's pictures of us being happy. That's our love gua altar. You don't know that, but I do. So I have to make sure that, the people in my life don't mess up the altars also. I have to be like, hey, so by the way, this needs to be clean because that's a specific part of my house that I really pay attention to. And I don't always say altar. Like with my kid, I don't call the spot in his room an altar, but I'm like, keep your shelf clean right here. I don't care about anything else in your room, but this shelf has to be clean and this plant has to be watered. Just saying. Okay.
All right, so your exercise for tonight is to set up an altar. Just find some
Any
things.
kind of altar.
Just find, if you don't have one, if you've never set one up, use your imagination, your intuition, let it guide you. Find things from around your house. Figure out what it is you want to make an altar for.
What are you
There's
drawn
some-
to? Yeah.
What do you, what do you
And it-
want to represent? What do you want to honor?
Bring
What
into
do you
your
want to bring into your life? What do you want to send out of your life?
Please.
And then find things in your house that represent that to you. They don't have to represent that to anybody else but you.
yeah.
And set
just
up an
you.
altar somewhere. And then, do your
Then
thing.
visit it.
Then
visit it,
visit it and
to it,
come and,
spend time with it.
yeah,
It's there.
yeah. So if you're trying to bring
Pay
something
attention.
in, go back and have a mantra that you say, light a candle, add something to it. You can always add things to your altar. They're not static spaces, you can
Nope.
move them around. There's no.
Reposition
on there.
that
So that
Get into
is that is your task for the week.
Thank you for joining us for week 6 of the Beginner Witch series, where we talked about altars and finding and making your sacred space personal for you and how to use it.